Welcome to another installment of Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. Lihlelo ke lokulethela ke indaba ebathenge lethisematheni. Nawe ke mbukele ke uma unenzaba ke ucabanga ukuthi singakhuluma ngayo lapha ke ehlelweni ungasatisa ngeke usithumelela ke umlayeto ku consumer@sabc.co.za. Mina ke ngingisimphiwe Ngcongwane kanti ke leli Yilungelo Lakho asingena endzabeni yethu namhlanje. The bank may give consumers up to 20 or 30 years to repay their home loan. Now, this may look like a pretty good deal, but the bank stands to gain more in the interest that they charge over this period. Did you know that there are other options that can make you benefit out of a home loan deal? Now, just to go about that, guest, we have in the studio, we have the likes of Mr. Simphiwe Matikizela, who is a home financing expert, and as well as Mayor Duval, sibe na Edgar Nche yena ke ubuya ka law real estate. Dr. Simphiwe Matikizela yena ke uyi home finance specialist njengoba sengishito. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Matikizela, ngicela ngawe, what's the most critical aspect or process of ukuthenga indlu nje?
Yeah. No, masibulele kakhulu ngombuzo wakho and sibamkele naba basilalele emakhaya. Okubalekile nje ukuthi kumele uwenze i-pre-approval. Ukuthi uzijonge ukuthi wena ungaqualify for indlu yamalini phambi kokuba uqale uhambo lakho lokuthenga indlu wenza pre-approval. So mawenze pre-approval sizojonga nje income yakho ukuthi uthola malini ngenyanga, imali yamkelayo, sijonge nama expenses, indleko zakho nazo a month. So with these two amounts, income yakho nama expenses, sikwazi ukuthi siqikelele estimate ukuthi ungathola indlu yamalini, i-pre-qualification ye-bank. So that mawujonga ubheka indlu lapho ufuna uhlala khona, ufuna uthenga khona, ube soyazi ukuthi wena uqualify for indlu ye-1,000,000 umzekelo or indlu ye-500,000 or low amount i-bank ethe uqualify for yona. Kubalulekile ukuthi uqale ngokokuqala.
Okay, kule pre-approval bamatikizela uthola ukuthi umthengi une credit record le clean.
Yes.
Uthola ukuthi ude kweneti, ude ama judgments, ude like nje i-credit record yakhe i-clean. Kepha nje uthola ukuthi i-interest iba setulu noma nayo le bond bamnika yona iba yincane. Kuyangani lokho vele? What does a bank use to determine?
Yeah. Mangaba sijonga i-application yakho, isicelo sakho sifike ebankini. Into esijongayo uqinisile ukuthi i-credit record yakho ukuthi imali zakho uziphatha kanjani, i-financial management, ukuthi how do you carry your and conduct your accounts, ne? Ukuthi uyabhatala. So masithi iscore sakho sihle siphezulu kabi, ne? Masiphezulu iscore sakho uthi ukuthi wena imali zakho uziphatha kahle, uyabhatala izikweleti zakho kwindawo nezikweleti kuzo ngesikhathi, imali efanele. Uzothola ukuthi interest rate ozoyithola, imali inzalo esakunikeza yona izoba phansi kakhulu mangaba irecord yakho inhle, mangaba iscore sakho siphakamile. So sizothola ukuthi siyeneliseka nguwe ukuthi uyi low risk. Masithi low risk ukuthi uziprovile ukuthi wena amatyala wakho izikweleti zakho uyazibhatala ngesikhathi. So sijonga lokho ibehavior yakho ukuthi iscore sakho sibe irate ibe lower with us because iscore sakho siphezulu. Yenye into sijongayo le ebalekile kakhulu kusemqoka ukuthi because uprovile ukuthi no wena uresponsible, ungaba trusted. Mawuthatha isikweleti awubaleki, uyasibhatala isikweleti, usibhatala ngesikhathi, ubhatala imali efanelekile. Sijonga lokho siyibank, sikunikeze interest rate ephansi because uyi low risk customer ngokunokwethu.
Right.
Yes. Kanti mhlambi mangaba uthe waqokelela imali wanaka ukuthi ungafaka noba i-deposit, ufake deposit iyasiza leyo kakhulu ukuthi irate yakho yehle futhi even more. Mangaba mhlawumbe uqualify for i-flexible subsidy khona ka government singaku-applyela nayo iyasiza ukuthi improve i-affordability. So zininzi lezi zinto esizijongayo nama program esinawo, ama instrument esinawo ukuthi ancedise ukuthi ukhona ukuthi interest rate yakho ibe phansi. Mara ma iscore sakho si right already good, uzothola interest rate ephansi.
So i-deposit kumcwanga ukuyibhadala?
Kubalulekile kakhulu ubhatala deposit kuba uthoba isikweleti sakho lesi. Masenze umzekelo sithi mhlambi uqualify for indlu ye 500,000, half a million umzekelo. So mangaba ungafaka imali laphaya already uyareduce isikweleti sakho, uyasithoba isikweleti sakho from ibank. Uyasithoba ukuthi sibe sincane. And then uyathoba ukuthi irate ozoyibhatala ibe ncane. And ne period le ukhuluma nge20 years kahle si standard. Ingehla le period ye20 years, ibe 18 years, ibe 16 years, 15 years. Akunyanzelekanga ukuthi ubhatale i-loan over 20 years. I20 years si standard nje. Kunabantu abaninzi ababhatala i-loan yabo nge10 years, half the time, the period. Nanga 7 years, nanga 5 years. Mara singaxoxa banzi ukuthi ke lokho kwenzeka kanjani. Mamana ugala imali lapha kuyakusiza isikweleti sakho.
Yes. Mayor, now say I go through the newspapers, I see a beautiful house that's been advertised and I really love it, a beachfront property or a nice apartment, and then I sign that that OTP, that offer to purchase. Just how transparent is the process? What goes on behind the scenes?
To sign the offer to purchase?
Yes.
Well, as we just heard now, that the pre-qualification is actually your starting point. So many people go out and sign the offer to purchase, and then they actually do not know how much money they have in their buying wallet. So as we just heard from now, that pre-qualification, your credit score, having a deposit, those are the critical things first to determine. We find that the people do a lot more homework to buy a new cell phone or a car than doing the home buying, going through the home buying process. So once you sign the offer to purchase, a lot of people think that an offer to purchase is just like an offer. But they do not realize by the time that the seller accepts your offer, it's a legal and binding document. I had a situation last week where one buyer went and put in 2 offers for cash to buy 2 different properties. Okay. So things like, I've got to decide which of the properties I want to take now once it's been signed by the seller. So you can imagine this was like huge amounts, like 2 million rand property deals. So he thinks that it's an offer and I can still pull out afterwards. But once you sign that offer, it becomes a legal binding document. So sometimes people call it an offer to purchase or a deed of sale. So there's many things you can call it, but it's a legal document. And there's a cooling off clause if your property is less than 250,000 rand. Now we find very few properties in that price range. Maybe.
What's the cooling off clause?
A cooling off clause is to protect, almost one can say, innocent or a first-time buyer, that if he finds that he signed for an offer to purchase or signed a deed of sale and he wants to pull out within a certain period, then he can actually cancel that deal without any legal recourse. Right. But nowadays we find so few properties.
How long is normally the cooling off period?
I think it's a 7 or a 5 day period.
Okay.
It's in every deed of sale, but you don't read it anymore because it's so seldom that you actually find. But it's in every deed of sale normally has a cooling off clause in that sale agreement.
Okay.
But so the deed of sale is a very transparent document. It's very basic. It sets out the parties to the transaction. It sets out the purchase price, if a deposit is required. And very importantly, it needs to have what we call a suspensive clause, which is if I want to apply for a home loan to finance the transaction, but if the bond of a home loan is not proved by a certain time, then the transaction will be regarded as cancelled. So that is a suspensive clause. It hinges on that clause.
So who determines the value of the actual property, I mean, in the offer to purchase?
Well,
can the seller, or rather, can the buyer come up with his own, price tag that I want to purchase this property for this amount?
This comes back to a home buyer, but we say become an expert. Do not take the first price that you see and regard it as the price I must pay. First, go and do your homework. There are many property websites where you can go and first do a comparative market analysis. I call it a CMA in short. You can also go to a lot of property listings and you can view how much the properties were sold for in the past month or 6 months or year. Because maybe you're buying in an area and the seller wants to make a quick, fast buck. But you can determine that properties of the same size in the area were selling for 1.5. Now all of a sudden the price is 1.8. You can also pull a deeds office printer to find out if a person purchased a property within the last 6 months or 5 years ago. If it's last 6 months, you know that why is he charging much more for what he paid for a property. So our advice is always go and do your homework. Become an expert. Do your homework, visit a lot of show houses. Make sure by the time that you walk into a 3-bedroom house that you know, I am paying on a different house, the same area and size, with a swimming pool and no swimming pool, I'm paying 1.5. But now, once you got that pre-qualification certificate, it gives you almost close to the purchase power and negotiation of a cash buyer. Because you say, here's my certificate from the bank. Can I name the bank?
No.
and you say,
No,
here's
you may
my
not.
bank,
Yeah.
so here's my bank, and I can give you that, this is my certificate, and I am good to buy. And I've got a deposit, so I'm very strong into buy. I'm not subject to myself selling my own house, because that now becomes a delayed transaction as well.
Okay.
So the deed of sale is very transparent, and it ought to be in clear language that the seller and the buyer can understand that. But the price is what the purchaser is prepared to pay.
Yes, yes.
And it's
yes.
not to say it must be the listing price. I think many properties in South Africa nowadays are sold for less than the listing price.
Okay. Now, Edgar, being approved of a home loan is as they may call it, the biggest achievement. But should it be?
Yeah, I mean, technically it's one step towards your future investment and something that will obviously help you to increase your equity. One thing that we advise people is obviously to become a person that wants to be in a position where you purchase your own property, which they've said and illustrated that you need to understand what you qualify for uphand.
Yes.
That will obviously give you the measurements of what you can buy in a specific area and also help you allocate the right budget within the area.
Okay.
Most people don't do their research. However, what is advisable is to do your research way ahead of time. See sometimes what the value is, what is your cap, what is your price ceiling, and then make the decision.
So what is it that I should look out for before purchasing property?
Look, I mean, it's very easy, like I say to most of my clients, it's very easy to make a decision based on price. However, the area should be your main concern as well as safety and the maintenance.
Okay.
So future values within the area should be one thing that you consider, and also look at, like what I like to say to my clients is, once you've viewed the property, take a drive around, see what future developments are coming up, understand what's happening, see what restaurants are booming, are you close to easy amenities, highway accessibilities, because when it comes to leasing out your property, then it makes it very easy for yourself as a person that's purchased a property to make it valuable in the future when you decide to sell.
All right. But mantikizela asesithi-ke sengiyayitfola-ke sengiyayisayina-ke offer to purchase siyavumelana-ke nelibhange. There are various terms and conditions that a buyer needs to look at when approaching a financier or a bank, to fund that particular property. So which is the most important? Sikhuluma nge-interest rate, sikhuluma ngani, yini lokunye lekumele sikubuke?
Interest rate ibalulekile kakhulu nayo. Okubalulekileyo ekuqaleni ukuthi njengoba ujungile endlu le oyifunayo iku-area e-right na, and then the price ethengiswa ngayo ukuthi ungabikho ripped off ubhatale more than what you should be paying. It's important. Mara ma-approve i-bank, interest rate ibalulekile. Kune-variable interest rate le etshintshayo, kune-fixed interest rate le emendaweni yabona. Abantu bayohluka, abanye abantu bathanda ukuthi ayazi ukuthi if i-2,500 imali ayibhatalayo i-fixed, i-2,500 akwazi ubudgeta for 3 years at least. Abanye bathanda kanjalo ukuthi abe ne-certainty, because lezo nyuka ehle 2.5 iphinde few months be 2.7 iye ku-3,000 kanjalo inako ukuthi ihluphe ngesinye isikhathi.
Okay.
Mara mayehlile kungcono, like ngoku yehlile interest rate yehlile ngo-0.25%, ibheke ezansi kuhle because sibhadala less yabona.
Okay.
Mara sizawucacisa konke lokho ukuthi kokuphi okungcono.
Yes.
Mara abantu bohluka, abanye baprefera i-fixed rate
Okay.
for budgeting.
Okay.
Ayazi ukuthi 3,000 angifuni uba shocked, 3.5 next month, 3.2 up and down, bafuna fixed rate.
Okay.
Yeah, mara abanye abahluphi ukuthi abamind ukuthi inyuke kancane or yehle, because mayehlile ikunikeza relief, bhatala some few hundreds lower.
Okay.
Yes, mara ma afforda you can keep it the same because you are saving kanjalo uba ngaphambili kwi-repayments wakho.
After the break, we'll be discussing just how important is it to negotiate for a fair or a lower interest rate. Welcome back, Mbugeli. Today we're talking about how you can benefit from a home loan deal. Tingingo tetfu ke ngu-0117146918 noma ke 0117146919. Ungasithumela futhi ne-SMS ku-33721 noma ke uchumane nathi ke ku-Facebook ubute umbuzo noma ke ubeke umbono. Gentlemen, what I want to find out from you is that does the consumer have the power to negotiate a fair or a much lower interest rate? Mayor, I'll start with you.
Indeed, he does have, but obviously he's got to prepare himself. You can't arrive at the bank with a bad credit score and maybe ask for a 100% home loan as well, and then expect to be able to negotiate the best interest rate. The banks are factoring in the interest rate prime +1 or +2, almost building in a premium for them if a customer defaults. So if you arrive at the bank with a good credit score, your affordability is not to the max, so maybe you borrow 85% of your affordability, plus you put down a nice deposit, they call it a loan to value. Then those factors will all add that you can most likely negotiate a much better credit score. But if you max yourself out, the bank is going to take a risk and say, oh, if something happens bad in this customer, I actually have no skin, the customer doesn't have skin in the game. And then I have to add 1 or 2% on top of the prime interest rate. And that's where you find that it will be difficult to negotiate a good interest rate compared to a better standing.
Okay, so how do I negotiate for a much better interest rate? What is it that I can use as a consumer or as a potential buyer as ammunition to negotiate for a fair rate?
I think the whole discussion here has been prepare yourself well.
Yes.
Go into the negotiation, I always say not standing on your knees and beg for a home loan, but almost prepare yourself so strong that you can look the bank manager or the banker in the eye and say, I would like a better interest rate. Now, what the banks, there are some other services where the service providers go out and negotiate a better interest rate for you. We often find that the same bank that you bank with sometimes doesn't have a best interest rate for you. It's because the banks have different campaigns at certain times of a financial structure where they want to lure more clients. And then maybe they will open up their credit applications a little bit and have a softer scorecard. Mm-hmm. But you do find sometimes that they take in, I find it as in my capacity as a conveyancing attorney, that you find more applications from one bank because they want to grow their book. But on the other hand, to lure the customers, they actually add 1% on top of interest rate. So it's interesting the campaigns of the different banks, and that's why sometimes it's good to shop around for 1 or 2 different banks to find the best deal for you.
Okay.
So I recommend that, number 1, get yourself your ducks in a row, and number 2, then look around for alternative offers that you can get.
All right, we'll discuss that in detail. But for now, let's take our first caller. Yilungelo Lakho.
Hi, good day to you.
Siyaphila kunjani mama?
Ngiyaphila. I just want to find that my aunt actually, she sold her house and now she's intending to buy another house. And we went to view the house, and the house was 1.2. And she's got a cash of something like 700,000 that she wants to put in the house. Now we went to the bank and we tried to apply for a bond for her. And they said that unfortunately she's a pensioner, but she's getting her money for pensioner plus minus 10, and she's also getting money from rental, that is plus minus maybe 15. So she's wondering, because of everything is showing on the statement, all the income that is coming through the bank. So what are the challenges for her to get a bond? Because now they said that because of she's a pensioner, unfortunately she cannot get a bond.
How old is she?
She was born in 48.
So unangaphi umama sisi iminyaka yakhe uthi pension unangaphi? How many years?
She's 62 years old.
62 years. Okay.
I mean 72 years, but there is a money that she's getting. It's a money. It's a fixed amount for her pension, and she's also getting money for her business, and it is showing on both statements for different banks.
So una 72
so there is
years.
A proof of income.
72 years, ne? Age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Cindy, siyabonga kakhulu kusishayela make titini interview titayidzinisa leyo
Okay, so
ndzaba.
can I listen on TV?
Yes, you can listen on TV right now.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Cindy, for your call.
Okay.
All right, I'd love all of you gentlemen to answer it, and as well as an estate point of view, Edgar, in a moment. But I'll start with you, Mr. Mutrizela.
Yes. Now, siyabulela. So umama mena 72 years. The reality is that sekhulile ne advanced age, because kumele sibe responsible nathi as the banks in terms of the way we give credit. So lapho ngisuka khona kula bank ngisuka kuyo siyavumela up to 75 years ne age. Now umama ifuna 72, so ukuthi kusheke nje 3 years sisikhathe esincane kakhulu lesi sishiyekile ukuthi singama approvela ibond over a period of 20 years. It will not be responsible for us to do that. Yabon?
Okay.
So mara ngatenga, if we are tenga, so angenza a cash buy. Yabon?
Because my understanding, Utsi abena, 700,000 in
Yes.
liquid cash,
Yes.
and then le pension imali lengena on a monthly basis.
Yes. So yabona,
Will that not lower the installment? Ngoba vele
Yes.
i-pension utayitfola aze afe.
Yes, no, that's fine. So 1.2 million, 700,000 to put in. So a difference is 500,000.
Yes.
So we still have to give a bond, 500,000. Ne?
Yes.
Now, what will be interesting, would 3 years the sale, between 72 years and 75 years. I'm a qualifier now for a bond of 500,000. You have 1,000,000.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting because if I'm a qualifier, mara kuzomela qualify within a period of 3 years. Kuzomela ibhadale back le 500,000 in 3 years. So installment angamela ibhadale lapho is going to be very big. 500,000, 500,000 over 3 years. Yabona? So izakwenza i-affordability ukuthi ibe i-challenge.
Kude yini i-flexibility yekuthi ningayistretcha kube over lo 3 kube above lo 3 years ngoba phela njengoba ngishito njengoba naye asho ukuthi uhola i-pension and i-pension utayitfola for life.
Yes, yes. Yeah, mari if siyacabanga ukuthi morally is it good ukuthi umuntu athathe imali yakhe ye-pension and abe bhatala i-bond and most of this money will go on this bond because i-period by law siyaregulatewa banks nathi ne sine South African Reserve Bank SAB they regulate how we run a business ne
Okay.
kune Financial Services Conduct Agents FSCA iyaregulate ukuthi i-banks ziqhube kanjani so we can't just do as we are pleased. So la 75 years is really a cut off. You don't want umuntu abhatala i-bond. I mean, imagine you add 20 years, 72 years, it means 92 years.
Okay.
So it will be irresponsible, morally speaking. It will not be the right thing to do ethically, unless it's a cash buy, you see.
Right.
Because if you're going to force 500,000 in 3 years, it's really criminal. It is not good to do that. Because it means yonke le mali pension izongena la. Uzophila ngani lo mama? Yabona kumele kudliwe other things transport ubomi bakhe kumele buqhubeke and besides ayo bond yodwa there's insurance that she must pay
insurance as well.
kukho insurance home owners cover for the structure of the property if igiza yakhe yabhesta or indlu yakhe yatsha kune insurance kune credit life insurance in the event that she dies the insurance must pay the bank.
Just insurance yale loan itself.
Yes. So it's not the installment only. It's the installment. It's the insurance as it too. Kunama rates and taxes from the municipality. So it becomes a lot of money.
Yes. And Mayor and Edgar, I'm going to ask your thoughts after the break. But for now, the age factor is very, very important. Because it will determine the interest rate. We'll be right back after this. Asiphelele sinamukele bekunene sisahleleke naye Mayor Duval, Edgar Nche na kanye kana Dr. Simphiwe Matikezela. They're enlightening us about the options that can make you benefit out of a home loan deal. As a matter of fact, we've been having a very, very interesting discussion off camera during that ad break. And bebesikhuluma ke ngendaba yamakwasindi ke lothi ke na uapplyeleke i-home loan una 700,000 rand in cash. Nekuthi ke ushito ukuthi utaba inkinga ngoba una 72 emabhange lamaningi vele atamfund up until the age of 75. But then you raise a very interesting point ukuthi angathenga indlu cash bese ke uyarentisa ngalo 700,000.
Yes. Kunjalo. So umama ngathenga indlu ngale 700,000 anayo because ne 700,000 cash. So le ndlu angayithenga 700,000 ingaba ncane kunale 1.2. Mari ku right because akana squelate. Uyithenga cash and then angarentisa ngalandlu enza imali. And angaphinda extend futhi le ndlu le. If uthenga indlu 700,000 cash ayithenga apho kune stand esikhulu kune big yard ekune space ukuthi extend afaka amanye ama rooms extra mara kufuneka athole iapproval yama building plans from municipality approval ama plans extend so ngolo hlobo akana squelate uyithengile indlu cash 700,000 is got no debt akana stress you don't want them having stress at the age of 72 years akalala unesquelate singaka it will not be fair to do that mara mangathenge a smaller house rent it out extend make more money akwazi ukuphila comfortable. That will be the best thing to do.
So Edgar, in your career, have you dealt with pensioners?
Yeah, I mean, you do come across pensioners that potentially want to...
What do you advise them to do?
Well, I think the right thing at that point in time is just to work around the budget or the exposed income that you have, right? It's always best to invest the money Remember, once you're a pensioner, it's now time to create generational wealth, income for yourself. It's not a point where you put yourself in more debt. So there are various opportunities where you can find like a decent 3-bedroom, alternatively like a 2-bedroom as well, where you can get like a great tenant. And they could pay your bond as well. Remember, you're building on your title deed, something that you initially have to create.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, Mayor, can a rate cut, like a minor rate cut of 0.25%, make any difference in the loan amount?
Indeed, we've seen that the recent cut of 0.25 actually changed a lot of bond repayments. But you must always remember that a home loan is generally paid back over a period of 20 years, sometimes 30 years. We always advocate trying to go for 20 years. Now, if you look at the scenario we've got on the screen, then we'll see that 1% difference that we actually achieved. Because the 1% that is a nice saving per month. But if you plow back that 1% over a period of 20 years, you'll see that there's a substantial saving of, in this case that we can see, if we can all see that on the screen, you're seeing there's a saving of about 390,000 Rand, if you can see so far, on the actual saving. So this is actually the big saving in not only in the monthly saving, but actually in the period of the home loan. Now there's one further step. If you take, by the time that you maybe have paid off on 11%, and all of a sudden you get an interest rate cut, or you are able to negotiate a lower interest rate, let's say 2 or 3 years later, but you are already used to the higher saving, actually force yourself to stick to that high saving, because you're used to that already now. Hopefully your income has improved over that time. Then you take that saving, let's say it's 1,000 or 500 Rand a month, and you plow that back into your bond. You'll see that, as people earlier said, you can now reduce your home loan payoff time from 20 years, maybe to 17 years, maybe to 15 years. And if you look at that, you pay 10,000 Rand a month, times 12, that's 120,000 Rand a year already. So times 3 years. It's amazing saving that you can actually get by taking that saving that you're already used to and not actually going to spend it on entertainment, because then you don't feel the benefit, but actually plow back into your home loan. And that is the most effective way of paying back your bond much faster.
And Simpia also raised something along the lines of negotiating for a fixed interest rate. Is that advisable? Should I go for a fixed interest rate, or should I just let it be, have a fluctuating interest rates? Because there's different scenarios to that as well. Because, if you go for the flexible, fluctuating interest rate, I mean, it works in your favor if the interest rate drops, but then you are cushioned if it rises. What's the way to go? Should I go for a fixed one or the flexible one?
Many years ago, the interest rates jumped from 11 or 12% to 24% in a short space of time. Now that sunk a lot of people, and everybody that had a fixed rate at that time was very glad they did that. However, you will find that a bank will charge you maybe 1 or 2% on top of prime if you ask for a fixed rate. And they always don't fix the rate, quite often not for a full 20 years, maybe for a 5-year period. So do get a quotation from a bank how much it will ask you for a fixed rate and how much it will be for a variable rate. Now, if you're a first-time buyer and let's say you earn 15, 20, 25,000 Rand, you would like to budget exactly what you are going to pay. Because we find the buyers normally they borrow the maximum amount that they can get. And if the interest rate goes up 0.5%, then they find themselves in deep water. Because remember, life expenses also, day-to-day expenses also grow. And now you find yourself in hot water because your bond seems to be creeping up as the interest rates are creeping up. So really go for a first-time buyer. We often find that it may be a good thing to fix your rate. Then you have a comfort that I'm going to pay this rate for the next 5 years.
Right.
But if you, but also work out what is the difference in that extra 2% that's going to cost you. I worked out if you pay 2% more on your interest rate, it will cost you 32% more for your home loan over 20 years.
Okay.
So 32% is 1/3 of your property value, but you're going to pay more. So be clever and work out exactly. Don't take the first quote that you get and try to negotiate the best deal you can.
All right. Now, Edgar, do you advise your clients or your potential clients or potential home buyers about this kind of information? Are they armed with enough information, or you just, rush them to sign on the dotted line?
No. So the most important thing as a realtor is to advise your clients correctly. And one thing, as we've obviously gone through the conversation, is that you need to pre-qualify your clients. So what I'll do is run through the numbers of what they qualify for, and alternatively check if they have any savings set aside for their transfer or bond costs, or potentially want to put down a deposit. So those are the factors that I think as a realtor or as a consumer you should look out for, and also expect those services from a person that's helping you search for a home. It's also important for them to see exactly on the results of what they qualify for, where exactly they could shop for. It's always great for me to give my clients either 3 options in 3 different areas, just to give them the value of different pricing, and just to see exactly what can you get for 700, what can you get for $1 million, and also what can you get for 500,000. That will put everything in perspective for a consumer.
Okay. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's leave it there for now. We'll be right back after this. Maybe you have an option that has worked for you. We'd like to hear about it. Ungashayela ke lucingo ku-0117146918 noma ke 0117146919. Ungasithumela futhi na-SMS ku-33721 noma uchumane nathi ke Facebook. And I want us to pick up on the point that we made earlier on with regards to the power that a consumer has in terms of negotiating a better deal, gentlemen. And I want all of you to weigh in on this particular discussion. So I get to the bank, I negotiate for a better interest deal, or interest rate, as it were. So what is it that I advance to the bank? What argument am I advancing to the bank for them to give me a much better deal?
So you can use your credit record, which is good. Let's say you've got a good credit record. You've got a high score, right? Meaning you're a low-risk customer. So the bank gives you a rate. First of all, you a variable rate and a fixed rate. So tolama quotations oyi-2 and you compare. Ukuthi cheaper, higher. So let's say if fixed rate is a little bit higher, let's say, because you're first-time buyer, and it's a fixer for 3 years. And then you join a variable rate. If the variable rate is lower than a fixed rate, then obviously choose the lower one, the variable rate. Try and push the bank and negotiate. Okay, prime. Prime at the moment 9.75. That's a prime lending rate, which all the banks they've got to start with as a base, which is the one that the South African Reserve Bank regulate. Being 10% before, you told you 0.25%, managing 9.75%. That's base rate, prime rate. Now I told you prime plus 1, so meaning that 10.75, or I told you prime plus 2, meaning 11.75. Now negotiate okay, but credit record is clean, is good. Low risk customer. Ngiprovile ukuthi ngiyakhona ukubhatala amatyala wami, ngibhatala on time, I'm never late, sometimes even more than what is required. So I've earned my stripes, so to speak. I can be trusted. So please review this rate. Give me something better than what you're doing. So sometimes you apply to more than one bank. So bank A kunikeza this rate, and then bank B kunikeza a rate lower than bank A. Maybe bank A, that's where you bank, is your primary banker. So you can be able to say, I bank with you. My money is with you. My salary goes in here with you. I've been with you for so many years. And my credit, I've never defaulted. I'm going to return judgment, debit orders as a jigile. So I'm sure you can do better than this. You push them. So they will review the rate and see if they can't adjust even further. If net deposit, you can also use the argument, I'm also putting a deposit. By the way, Tina, siyakunikeza 100% bond. We don't require you to have a deposit. But 100%, if it's a net deposit as well, it even helps your case. So you can use the fact that upatala deposit, you can use the fact that your record yako is clean, you can use the fact that I've been with you for so many years, your relationship none is coming from far. And I've got options, you've got power as a consumer, because there's more than one bank. and we compete with each other. So you can say, look, if you can't do better than this, another bank is willing to do.
Yes.
And then therefore I'll have to move my relationship from you. So these are all the tips or the negotiations or the bargaining that you can use when you negotiate at the bank. Remember, you've got power as a consumer, but you need to have facts that the bank can consider and look at them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Mayor has just made his point. You need to have power as a consumer and the facts that the bank can consider. I mean, he just shared his thoughts with us. What are your thoughts with regards to the kind of arguments or the reasoning that I can advance with the bank to negotiate for a lower rate?
I agree 100%. And one thing that we can add to the deposit is a lot of people do not know about the government subsidy called FLISP, FLISP. It stands for Finance Linked Individual Subsidy Program. So you must first get your home loan approved. And this subsidy is available for all first-time buyers that do have a dependent. But you must have your home loan approved. So you must first find out how much subsidy can you get, and then you can look at your home loan that you need to apply. So let's look that you apply for a 500,000 rand deposit. If you apply a home loan, if you apply for a 500,000 rand deposit, a home loan, and it's up to the max, the bank will maybe up your interest rate a little bit. But if you apply for 450 home loan, then the bank will say, oh, you've got a deposit there, I can give you a low interest rate, exactly what he earlier said.
Okay.
So use the FLISP as well, but don't apply for 500, go for the lower amount. And then that can help you to negotiate a better interest rate. So people are not aware of FLISP, and we urge them to go out and use this once-off subsidy if you earn up to 22,000 Rand as a gross combined household income.
So at what point do I negotiate for a better loan? Is it at the start of the loan, when I take up the loan, or in the duration of the loan?
Sometimes you are at mercy's end because you've signed for the offer to purchase and you've got a deadline of getting your home loan within 14 days. And you know that if your home loan is not approved, the bank will, the deed of sale will collapse. So now you've got to make a choice and a call and say, I've got two different banks where they gave me a quotation. Maybe one gave me a lower interest rate, but it demands a deposit of 5 or 10%. The other one is at prime plus 1, but it doesn't require a deposit. So you can work out your own finances. If you have a deposit, remember you've got to pay legal fees, transfer and bond costs as well. So it all depends on how much money you saved in advance. So let's say the deal is done and you take the home loan for prime plus 1. My recommendation is now to start getting yourself fit for a new application 2 years later. Because then you go back to the bank and say, I behaved very well. Again, as he earlier said, look at my spending and my behavior for the last 2 years. I actually managed to improve my credit score. My salary has gone up, so I actually have more money available now. Plus, my property has gained in value. That's your loan to value. So please re-look at my situation, because I really feel that I'm a good customer of yours, and we need to do business for a long time. We've still got 18 years left of this home loan. Please re-look at my home loan.
Okay.
And my view is that you must go back to the bank. Now you've got stronger negotiation power.
Okay. Now, Edgar, you know, obviously every consumer, every home buyer and home owner needs to get the best value out of every transaction possible. So, you know, just picking up on what these gentlemen have said, what is it that I should, you know, look out for, and the kind of facts that I can arm myself with when negotiating for a much better deal?
True. Okay, so everything is all interlinked, and what I like about it being interlinked is that the first negotiation starts with pricing, right? We need to identify as consumers, where are we in a market? Are we in a buyer's market, or are we in a seller's market? Right now we're in a buyer's market. That means there's a surplus, there's a great amount of stock out there, there's a lot of properties, therefore it puts you as a buyer and a consumer to negotiate price. Okay. Because people are trying to be, I'd rather say competitive with their pricing, and you'd want to get the best deal. So those are the facts that you should have as a consumer, identifying if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. Obviously, in a seller's market, then people want to optimize in their sale of their property in terms of the highest price achieved in the area.
Indulge us, what is a seller's market and a buyer's market?
Okay, so typically right now we're in a buyer's market where a person, if you had to go out now with a million rand, right? You have options to select. You could either see a 3-bedroom in Bryanston, a 2-bedroom in Sandton, and there's more options. I mean, there's a lot of stock out there. There's about 230 in one area. That's what I'm trying to say. However, you as a consumer can negotiate with whatever option you come across or select, and can reduce the pricing in there. However, in the seller's market, Sellers generally then optimize in the sale price, however they achieve more than what they can generally generate in the area.
All right.
So it's all based on comps, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had one
Briefly.
stage in Cape Town in certain areas, the Sea Point area, and people would arrive there literally with cash to actually to lure the buyer to the seller. And the properties were selling for more than the listing price because there was such a huge demand for property, and that's when it becomes a seller's market, where people the buyers start to fight about the property, and they're prepared to pay a premium to get that property because they are so in demand.
Right, right. All right, we'll pick up on that point after this break. As I said, you carefully reflect on it. Hayi ke bekunene sesiyayicucumbela ke indzaba yethu namhla ke sikhuluma ke what to do in order to negotiate for a much better or a lower interest rate when purchasing property. Now, Mayor, say there are these unnecessary costs, well, through the perspective of a buyer and a homeowner, like your registration costs, like your bond costs. How do I avoid these costs?
Well, you're not going to avoid it. Somewhere you're going to have to pay it. However, if you do not have the cash upfront to pay it, look around for a property where a property developer is selling properties, because they normally include the cost of transfer and the bond registration cost in the purchase price. So although it's kind of hidden in the purchase price, you still pay for it, but the bank will most likely regard the purchase price as a full purchase price, cost included, and they might give you a 100% home loan. And through that, you can actually then not pay or avoid paying that upfront from your own savings.
So basically the first prize is to go for new developments because there are no registration costs.
It
or
helps a
transfer
lot.
costs.
It helps a lot, but just go through your deed of sale. Not every developer includes the cost, and you don't want to get the nasty surprise of going to sign with the lawyers and they'll give you a transfer cost bill, and you say, "But where does this come from? I thought it's included." Some developers include only the transfer cost. And then they say, if you apply for a home loan outside my originator and process, then you've got to pay extra. So be very careful of not even the fine print of your contract of sale to make sure, do you have to pay it or are those costs included?
So can I negotiate, like for instance, I'm buying a pre-owned property. Can I negotiate that all these transfer costs and bond registration costs be included in the entire loan amount so that I don't have to pay extra?
Yes. My experience is that the banks do not like to fund that as part of a purchase price. So you can't include it in the purchase price. But many of the banks are coming back now very aggressively to advance finance, and they say, I can give you 105% home loan. So they actually pay out more than the purchase price, and that extra money you can use over and above to pay for the transfer cost or subsidize a large portion of your transfer costs.
Okay. Edgar, what's your thoughts on this? Would you advise your clients to go for new developments or pre-owned homes?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a gap in between the both. Is where you save is obviously the amount, and as a consumer you want to save. So the first options that I would potentially recommend are new developments, because primarily you save on transfer and bond costs, and those costs are wiped away, because I mean on an average you're looking at about 34,000 going up. Right, so those are the kind of costs that you save on yourself. And another thing is on a resale, then you'll be indulging those. So it's just a matter of an option which one you take. Sometimes uncertainly or unfortunately certain areas don't offer new developments, and therefore you'd have to consider things that would obviously lie within your budget.
All right. So, Baba Matikizela, can job hopping, for instance, or maybe bank hopping, as it were, changing banks within a short space of time, or changing jobs, can that work in my disadvantage, or can it work in my favor in a way?
No,
when
it
looking
won't.
out for a bank loan.
No, it won't work to your disadvantage, because phaa form yethu, if uqala umsebenzi omutsha, masithi mhlambi you've got 3 months in this new job, we always go back ukuthi, okay, before you were here, where were you? You mentioned the previous employer on the form, and then you can always mention there how long were you there. So if you were 10 years in the other employer and then you change umsebenzi omutsha una 3 months, it won't work to your disadvantage, because remember normally when you change jobs, your income improves. It's because you've got a
Yes.
better offer somewhere.
Yes.
So it doesn't work to your disadvantage. It actually helps you.
Kuthi
to
ngiyithole
even-
within 6 months or within a year lo msebenzi lomunye, it doesn't really
It
matter.
doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Because we always look at, okay, before you were here, who could be previously, and how long you stayed. So it doesn't really affect you negatively.
Okay.
Yes.
Just as we wrap the show, Mayor, your thoughts with regards to tips and words of advice for home buyers?
Stressed again, go and prepare yourself well before you buy. Become an expert. Make sure your credit record is very good and clean. And make sure that you do not stretch your budget to the maximum, and prepare for if the interest rate will rise, that you can accommodate that.
Okay. Edgar, your tips for home buyers?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say just go out there, look for the greatest deals, always negotiate wherever you can, and always find the right price for yourself. Always work within your budget, try calculate things before you make a decision, and compare options within the area.
Okay. Edgar Ncha, Mayor Duval, and Baba Simpio Matikizela. Thank you so much to you three gentlemen for joining us. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Ake bekunene sifika kanjalo ke maphethelweni ehlelo lapho namhla. Let me thank my studio guests for their valuable insights. Asithembe ukuthi nawe ke mbukeli kunenge lokufunzile namhla. If you have a consumer issue that you'd like us to discuss, ungasatisa ke ngokusithumela ke i-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za. For me Simpio Ngwane and the rest of the team, have a blessed week. Cheers.
Aumela